none of us working in corporate America, none of us working on a job is going to dime out our boss. So when somebody brings that up and they say, you didn't call out Joe Biden, you didn't talk about him being cognitively, well, let me get this straight. Let's ask a rhetorical question. What if she had done that? You know what they would have said? You betrayed us. You betrayed the administration. You betrayed your employer. We can't trust you. What do we do? How does that correlate? How does that correlate in corporate America? Here's how. If you go and you talk smack about your boss, try getting another job in that industry when the reputation is that you talked about your boss. Everyone knows common sense. You don't do it. So why should she be held against? Why should it be held against her for not diming out Joe Biden? Can't be coming up with stuff about Social Security that's wrong, that Guatemala that's wrong, and other things. You got to be on point. You got to be precise. You've got to be accurate, because in the end, if you're not, plus you're bloviating in the Oval Office like you are the right-hand man of the president, which he is, which is scared the living hell out of a whole bunch of American citizens. Why? Because he's not an elected official. He's not somebody that's a member of Trump's cabinet that's been confirmed by Congress or by the Senate or anything like that. He's a special advisor to the president who seems to capitulate and acquiesce to every single thing he wants done. And so when you're doing that, but then you're coming out and you're not accurate, and on top of that all, you're a bit loose with your language, that's not the kind of person that I know Bill O'Reilly to stand up for.
No, I want him to be precise.
That's not the Bill O'Reilly I know.
I wrote on X that.
Okay. But it involves more trusting of the system. And that's not something black Americans are inclined to do in any system. We don't like to trust the system because the system has hurt us as a community. I just looked at the stat involving the poverty rate in the United States of America. Do you know that from 1965 to 1973, the poverty rate had gone from about 17.3% to about 11.2%, Chris? But since 1973, it's fluctuated between 11 and 15%. Since 1973. In other words, it hasn't changed. How many times do I tell you, as my brother from another mother, that guess what? When white folks catch a cold, black folks catch pneumonia. It's always worse for us. So Trump comes along and he says, this is what the situation is. No matter what they're telling you, guess what? Your situation doesn't seem to change. The poverty rate doesn't seem to change. Education and its troubles doesn't seem to change, which is why you got the whole charter school things and vouchers and all of that stuff. Crime in the streets doesn't change. Okay, the economy as it pertains to how it affects you, it doesn't change. No matter where you turn, no matter where you look, there's always somebody doing better off than you guys, no matter what they say, no matter how much they ask you to depend on them. And then when we go to the Democrats and we say, look, these are the facts. What do you have to say about that? We know about the New Deal. We know, we know what Lyndon B. Johnson did. We know about Civil Rights, Voting Rights Act, okay? We know about our Fair Housing Act. We know about all of these things. But as you look over the last 30, 40, 50 years, what's your new message? What do you have to say? It never changes.
Stephen A. Smith may run for president, as you know. Do you have any advice for Stephen A. If he launches the run?
No, Stephen A. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. I love watching him. He's got great entertainment skills, which is very important. People watch him. A lot of these Democrats I watch, I say they have no chance. I've been pretty good at picking people and picking candidates, and I will tell you, I'd love to see him run.
All right, there you go. You got one more? Right. One more thing. Pam Bondi has more chance to start for the New York Jets next September than Aaron Rodgers does.
Wow. Okay, fine. We can argue about that another day, and I can school you on that. That I can school you on. Having said that, let me say this. I understand what they were doing. My point in them asking Pam Bondi those questions is they sounded like they were on the campaign trail again against Trump. It's senseless. You lost the American people. Are tone deaf to it now. They don't want to hear it anymore. They think you're full of it. So you're playing right into their hands by grilling her with the with the questions that you're grilling her with, because now you look like you can't accept that you've lost as a Democratic Party, and that is the problem.
Excellent point. That was very good.
You get an amen across the board. What does Bill O'Reilly come on national television and say? He said he'd like to see Donald Trump calm the waters.
That's what he said.
But he's not going to do it, but he'd like to see it. Isn't it Bill O'Reilly that told us he's known Donald Trump for decades? Isn't it Bill O'Reilly that's
very influential?
He's very influential. Isn't it Bill O'Reilly who prides himself on being influential? Isn't it Bill O'Reilly who said, you said, that's my guy. I'm tight with Donald Trump. I can talk to him. I'm saying to myself, nobody's asking you to go into the Oval Office and write policy, okay? But nobody's asking that. What we're saying is, where's Bill O'Reilly's influence when it comes to this? How come he can't get Donald Trump to calm down? I mean, why is that too much to ask?
Maybe he likes the chaos.
I think Bill O'Reilly likes the chaos. That's right.
Doesn't love the
Maybe he's instigating. Maybe he's assisting Donald Trump in instigating.
Maybe there should be a Killing Bill O'Reilly book in the series.
Okay.
Stephen A. Smith, what is the chance that this weekend, as we celebrate the highest of Christian holidays, rebirth and renewal, there will be video of Stephen A. Smith going and attending Mass, shaking people's hands, holding a baby, putting it back in the mother's arms, walking around and saying, I love America, I love Jesus?
Zero. Because I've got NBA duties for ESPN.
0%.
I have NBA duties for ESPN, my day job, which I happen to love very, very much, by the way. The NBA playoffs are about to begin. I have obligations, but I am always happy when America is happy. That much I will tell you. Anytime I can put a smile on people's face, it's something I'm happy to do.
Now, have you noticed that you've been talking like this more often? You see this gesture that I'm doing? It is not what a sports commentator does. Sports commentators don't do this. I'm just saying, Stephen A., I'm watching you. I'm watching you, Stephen A. Smith.
I do have one request. I need you both to step your wardrobe game up a little bit.
Oh, come on.
My wardrobe is going to be on point. You understand what I'm saying? I will be ready.
Are you going to have it made just for the occasion?
I wish it was tonight.
Are you going to have it made?
I will be ready.
You know what? You don't have to tell me, because whoever's doing your PR, I'm sure there'll be pieces out in advance about like Armani or something saying that you should run for president. It's going to be like Xenia is going to say you're going to run for president.
I never, ever advertise when I'm working beforehand, or what I'm wearing beforehand. That is always a surprise. You might see me coming in other ways, but not when it comes to my wardrobe. You have to be careful to not fall for the okie doke, for every little thing that he throws out there. Because like Bill said, there's certain things that he's doing just for pomp and circumstance to make it look good. And he knows he's not going to necessarily get it done. But that doesn't stop them from overreacting to it. And if you overreact to it and use every little soundbite that he throws out there, or every little insignificant act that you know he's not going to be able to push through, and you react to that, you're reminding Americans of why they voted against you in the 2024 election. You cannot do that. If it's something substantive that's a real threat in your eyes that you feel he can push through, react to that. Make it real. But when it's something that you know is going to amount to nothing, why engage him in that? Because you're falling right into his trap when he does that, because he has proven in terms of headlines, in terms of sizzle, in terms of sparking a conversation and creating provocative dialogue, he has proven to be an absolute master at that, to his advantage more so than theirs. They have to make sure that doesn't happen to them. It doesn't matter whether it's not going to happen. It matters that people on the right who preached for decades upon decades about following the Constitution suddenly come on national television and say there's nothing wrong with circumventing it. That's the issue. The 22nd Amendment says it, okay? It explicitly states in the Constitution that for the presidency, there will be a 2-term limit. No person shall serve more than 2 terms. They know this. Now, these are the same people that spent decades upon decades telling us the Constitution, the Constitution, the Constitution. We're going to follow the Constitution. But now that they've got a guy in office that they swear by, suddenly the rules don't apply. So I understand what you're saying when you're saying it's not going to happen. But to dismiss it and act like it means absolutely nothing, well, I got news for you. The election ain't until 2028, okay? And it's going to mean a hell of a lot to a hell of a lot of millions of American citizens that people on the right who are supporters of Trump have absolutely no problem echoing and articulating and parroting that kind of speech that Steve Bannon just threw out there. I'm very alarmed at it, and I don't even think it's going to happen myself. But the gall, the audacity for him to come on national television and say such a thing, I think is incredibly alarming.